It's incredibly rare for criminal defendants to take the stand. It is a risk very few take. At stake, one's freedom or even their life. This is Roy Oliver, a Texas police officer charged with the murder of 15-year-old Jordan Edwards. He's decided to take that gamble. Will it help him convince the jury that he's not guilty?
I had to make a decision. There were threats inside the car.
Or will it come back to haunt him?
I had no other option but to use lethal force.
They're trying to hit you. Take a courtside seat with the prosecutor, the DA's investigator, the victim's family attorney, and the journalist who covered the trial. I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Taking the Stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear?
I'm being honest with everything I say to you.
Do solemnly swear
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I would like to testify.
The testimony you are about to give, the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
So help you God.
Texas is littered with stories of famous, tough cops, and they're violent at times.
You shoot this young man back in the head.
Roy Oliver is a Texas lawman in a rare predicament. He's standing trial for the shooting and killing of an unarmed ninth-grade boy in the line of duty. He's lost his job, he's been charged with aggravated assault and murder, which means he may lose his freedom. Oliver and his attorneys have made a big decision. He'll take the witness stand to explain how and why the shooting happened.
The word in the courtroom was not if Roy Oliver was going to take the stand, it was when he was going to take the stand.
Mr. Oliver had to get on there to try and humanize himself, make himself likable to the jury.
Your Honor, we call Roy Oliver.
As egregious as this case was, his testimony was not only trying to get off.
I swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth.
Yes, sir. But his testimony was about limiting the amount of time that he would spend in prison.
Roy Oliver has to try to convince jurors to see his side, in the hope that they believe he was acting lawfully and with a valid reason. But before they're asked to put themselves in Oliver's shoes, jurors have to grapple with a devastating tragedy, the death of Jordan Edwards.
Jordan Edwards was a straight-A student. Jordan Edwards was loved by his teachers. He was loved by his coaches. He was loved by his classmates. This was just a perfect kid.
He played football and he loved football, even though he was like 4 feet 9 inches tall. He sometimes brought his Bible to school to read during study hall. He was so friendly that everybody called him Smiley.
Why do they call him Smile?
Because he's doing just what he normally did, which was smile.
He's always smiling.
Yes, ma'am.
On April 29th, 2017, there was a kid who was throwing a party.
It was a party that was being thrown because the host of the party's parents were out of town. And so Jordan and his half-brother Vidal Allen, his full brother Kevon Edwards, and then their two best friends, Maximus and Maxwell Everett, they get into Odell Edwards' Chevrolet Impala. They're real excited to go, and once they got there, it was easy to see why.
Everybody was enjoying themselves and just doing what teenagers do. Unbeknownst to them, someone made a call to the Balch Springs Police Department.
Around 11 o'clock, a call went in complaining about loud noise coming from a neighbor's home.
That one phone call would lead to the death of Jordan Edwards.
The police get a call, and they send two officers, Tyler Gross and Roy Oliver, to the location on Barron Street, where this party is being held.
I'm Officer Gross, okay?
Officer Gross.
I don't want to see this again.
Yeah, let me go see this again.
They're having a very routine encounter with a bunch of kids that are, shall we say, having too much fun.
I expected it to get
I know.
tight.
Then all of a sudden, 12 shots ring out from a nursing home located about 100 yards to the east.
It sounded like a semi-automatic or maybe multiple semi-automatics going off in a very close proximity.
64 shots fired.
I exited the house. The kids that had ran out of the house and went eastbound on Barron Drive were then running back westbound to the house and screaming.
Both officers exit the house. There is a sense of urgency as to where did those shots come from, because you know you've got kids everywhere.
Gross broke to the right. I broke off to my squad car to get the patrol rifle.
Roy Oliver runs to his police SUV, opens up the trunk, grabs an AR-15 that had just been issued to him, and he races for the sound of the gunshots.
Tyler Gross picked out this dark-colored Chevy Impala that was backing up down the street towards the main road.
They are going into the direction of the black Chevy Impala that Jordan Edwards was a passenger in.
Officer Gross actually approaches the car from the side.
Gross is keyed in on something. What has Gross keyed in on?
Hey, stop that car! Stop that car right now!
He raps on the back passenger window of the car, just trying to get the attention of the driver, Vidal Allen. Inexplicably, the window breaks as a result of that.
The vehicle came to a stop for a slight moment and then accelerated forward. I am focused on the vehicle. It was coming at an angle at him. And as it was gaining ground towards him, I had to make a decision.
Car! You all right? Yeah, I'm fine. He was trying to hit you.
The second shot kills poor Jordan, goes into the back of his head and kills him immediately.
Roy Oliver had to take the stand in order to justify his actions at the time that he pulled his trigger.
Roy Oliver's second bullet kills Jordan Edwards instantly. Several days later, he's fired. Now, Oliver maintains his decision to shoot was lawful, but he's indicted for aggravated assault and murder in Dallas County. The last time a cop faced a murder charge here was over 4 decades earlier. And as the trial proceeds, one of Oliver's biggest challenges becomes clear. His patrol partner had his own story to tell.
I turned and saw that Oliver was standing next to me, and I saw the smoke from his weapon. First, I
conclude from the smoke coming from his weapon
that he was the one that had shot.
We hear a lot about the blue wall that police officers have, that they always defend one another.
Did you ever feel like Vidal Allen, the driver of that car, was trying to drive over you or hit you?
I didn't. I was not in fear at that point.
Gross took the stand and said he never felt like he was in fear of his life. Oliver's partner's testimony was devastating.
Tyler Gross's response is not equal to that of Roy Oliver's response, obviously. Both of them have two different perceptions of what's going on here.
What happened out there on April 29th of 2017 happened in a split second. That's why the testimony you're about to give will be the truth.
Yes, sir.
The first job of the defense is to introduce the defendant. It's the starting point for the jury to begin to see him as a person and perhaps sympathize with him. It's a high-stakes moment. Oliver's freedom is on the line. So who was Roy Oliver, the cop at the center of the trial?
You dropped out of high school, and what did you do then for the next 2 or 3 years?
Dropped out of high school, worked at the music store, became an assistant manager at that location. A friend of mine was working at a department store in loss prevention. He recruited me, so I went over there to help catch the internal employees stealing or the shoplifters.
He dropped out of high school to go to work. He ended up joining the Army. He served 2 tours in Iraq. He's wearing a little autism lapel pin because he has a child who has autism. It was important to get Oliver on the stand to show the jurors why did he feel he had to go to such extremes to defend his partner. The only person that can explain that is Oliver.
I hear Gross, I'm running, I'm not looking as broad left and right, I'm focused on Gross, figuring out what has he locked onto, what is he going after, why is he going after it. The only reason I'm thinking he's going after it is active shooters, he's got them located, we've got to stop the vehicle.
When did you think you made the decision to fire that weapon?
When the vehicle was moving towards my partner. I had to make a decision this car is about to hit my partner. There were threats inside the car, and I had no other option but to use lethal force.
You all right? Yeah, fine. He was trying to hit you.
What was your immediate thoughts after you fired with him?
Make sure my partner was okay.
After Roy Oliver shot into the Chevy Impala, the car's driver, Vidal Allen, pulled the vehicle over seeking help. Roy Oliver and other officers discovered Vidal's brother, Jordan Edwards, dead in the front passenger seat.
If you got over the shock and you were able to comprehend everything, how'd you feel?
Sick to my stomach, heartbroken.
It's kind of tricky because if you talk about remorse, that is almost a concession that you've done something wrong.
Police investigators figured out later from witnesses that the gunshots heard by partygoers and officers Oliver and Gross were fired randomly into the air by a local gang nearby.
If any of those witnessed that, I watched these past few days, if any of them would have been able to actually just step up, wave their arms, yell, hey, that's not the vehicle. If anyone would have intervened, it would have changed the outcome.
When he talks about how he had to do it, I think that's posturing for the jury.
There was a whole other side of Roy Oliver that the jury had not seen. There was this picture of Roy Oliver that the prosecution had that they were ready to unload on the jury, and they did.
Isn't it true if you do shoot the driver of a car, that then you've got an out-of-control car?
You could, yes.
So that could actually make the situation even more dangerous. Is that right, Mr. Oliver?
Depending on the environment.
During cross-examination, the tone of the trial changes. It is night and day. The defendant will undergo fierce and tactical questioning by the prosecution. Under increasing pressure, can Roy Oliver, former infantryman and patrol cop, hold up?
You shoot this young man in the back of the head. I think about Jordan Edwards every single day. I didn't want him to lose that case.
When you have a hard-nosed, tough, no-nonsense prosecutor, that prosecutor would be all over him, trying to get him to lose control and show the jury what he's really like.
Isn't it true that when you shoot into a moving car, you run a very high risk of killing an innocent bystander?
That is a risk.
Okay? And in fact, that's in your training, isn't it?
I believe it is.
And isn't that exactly what happened here? You killed an innocent bystander. You know what's going to happen when you shoot in there. That's what you meant to do. That's what your policy says you got to mean to do.
Correct.
Okay, so you did it.
Correct.
When the jury has the opportunity to see a defendant's mannerisms totally change, that is when you now have the opportunity to attack that person's credibility.
You said that you felt sick to your stomach after you realized what you'd done. You remember telling them that?
Yes, anytime you're put in a situation, if you take a life, it's not something that happens easily by any means.
The prosecutor wants Roy Oliver increasingly uncomfortable on the stand, so maybe he'll even reveal a more aggressive side for the jurors.
You were so remorseful and felt so bad that you yelled at poor Vidal Allen, quote, all directions. Remember that?
Yes, he failed to comply with Officer Gross, and he failed to comply with what Officer Chamblee was telling him.
The prosecution's investigation found another way to give the jury a glimpse of Oliver's character, of a darker side. Since he testified on the witness stand, there was what attorneys call an open door. It's the legal leeway to bring up other, less flattering aspects of a defendant's past. In this case, a damaging Facebook post Oliver had made.
You remember July the 12th, 2013, you made a Facebook post that said, quote, I will never in my life be as good at anything else as I am at killing people, end quote.
That was a repost. That's correct.
Even if he's reposting somebody else's, when he posted it, he made it his own.
That's an incredibly dangerous, horrible thought to have.
Damaging past behavior often keeps defendants off the witness stand. In Oliver's case, the prosecution now had another door to open, allegedly into his temperament. It was an off-duty incident. It was investigated, it was included in his disciplinary record, during which Oliver drew his gun.
I think one of the most significant moments in the trial came when the prosecution, trying to prove what kind of person Oliver was, put on the stand two young women who said that 2 weeks before they rear-ended Oliver's car and that he got out and pulled a gun on him.
I was watching him walk towards me, and when he got right here, when I turned to the side, all I could see is the end of the gun in my face. So...
The gun was in your face?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive. I can't forget a gun in my face.
Were you doing anything unusual?
No, I had both hands on the steering wheel, and I was leaning forward. So in case he were to fire, I knew I was going to get hit and not my sister.
Something's wrong with his threat level.
As soon as he stepped out of his truck, he approached our vehicle very quickly because he was angry. He was raging.
What the Dallas County Prosecutor's Office wanted to point out to the jury is that Roy Oliver was a walking time bomb.
But the track record in Dallas County and nationwide in finding officers guilty of murder is not very good.
There were threats inside the car, and I had no other option but to use lethal force.
Former police officer Roy Oliver is on trial for the shooting death of Jordan Edwards. His justification? The Chevy Impala Edwards was in veered dangerously toward his patrol partner, Tyler Gross, after shots had been fired nearby. Protecting his partner from the threat, Oliver says, prompted him to act. The problem for Oliver? Gross didn't feel that threat.
I was not in fear at that point.
As the trial wound down in the Frank Crowley courthouse, it all came down to one question for the jury. Was Roy Oliver being reasonable, defending his partner, or had he gotten caught up in the violence of the moment and let loose with a barrage of bullets, killing a 15-year-old in the process?
Roy Oliver's defense team hoped jurors would understand this patrol cop's point of view. In an unusual move, they had Oliver stand in the courtroom before the jury box.
Strap on Roy Oliver's boots. You have to have in your mind that you're there to protect the public, but most of all, your foremost duty is to your partner.
The defense tried to paint Roy Oliver into a reasonable person in order to justify his actions.
That vehicle was pointed at Tyler Gross, and it was a threat to Tyler Gross. And that is why Roy Oliver reasonably made the decision that he had to make. It doesn't matter that looking back on it in hindsight, we all make a different decision now. We have to look at it how Roy Oliver saw it at the time. Ladies and gentlemen, Roy Oliver should be found not guilty.
If a layperson thought that he did have to shoot his weapon in order to protect his partner from serious bodily injury or death, then they could have quit it.
Anytime a case goes to the jury, the gravity of the decision-making looms over the proceedings in the case. The trial had a much higher profile given the interest in police shootings of unarmed individuals. A lot of eyes were on this Dallas County courtroom.
I know that there is a chance that this police officer could walk, and I know the devastation that it would have on this family and this community.
Here comes this decision, which reflects what has been going on in so many cities about young unarmed black men being shot by white cops. And we all thought, are they really going to come back with a murder conviction?
Mr. Gill, Mr. Oliver, Mr. Brissett, Mr. Lane, if you would please rise for the reading of the verdict.
As a prosecutor, particularly when you got the kind of victim that I had, you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders.
This is cause number F1718595-V, the state of Texas versus Roy Oliver. The verdict form reads as follows.
You're worried to death that you're going to let this kid down.
We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant guilty of murder as charged in the indictment.
Finally, we got justice. Roy Oliver was not going to get away with the murder of 50-year-old Jordan Edwards.
I think it's unbelievably horrible that his life was taken away. I don't want this to be a teaching point or something for other police officers to learn about. I want it to have never happened at all.
Did Roy Oliver taking the witness stand benefit or hurt his case? Yes, he was convicted of murder. But the sentence he received in the penalty phase indicated that this Dallas jury at least considered his point of view. Prosecutors asked for a sentence of 60 years behind bars. The jury gave him 15. Defendants are never forced to take the stand, but that decision is likely the biggest one they ever make. For Taking the Stand, I'm Dan Abrams.